Podcast City Network.
This is Final Score, your number one podcast for sports news. Here are your hosts, Chris and Craig.
Hey guys, and welcome to another exciting episode of Final Score, episode 93. And we know it's that crazy time of year. What do they call that? The good old Valentine's Day. And of course, you know, that wasn't going to stop us from going live and bringing you the very latest in sports news. And of course, I can't do this without the two gentlemen next to me today. Of course, good old Craig. How you doing, bud?
We're doing good, man. You just lagged so bad and froze, and then the audio caught up, and JDM and I looked at each other going, do we have to start over? Is this what's going on here?
I was like, no.
It's like, no way. 2 seconds into the show.
Might be. I fat fingered something, so don't mind me.
Thank you. Thank you, Spectrum. But no, it's happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Welcome to the show. We're really happy to have you. Let us know where you're joining in from. Comment section. We'd love to have you guys interactive on the show. Let us know where you're joining in from and what you're excited about today. We got Daytona 500. We got a lot of stuff going on today. Really excited. And we're so happy to have our resident hockey guy, JDM, to the show. JDM, welcome, my friend.
What's going on, guys? What's up, Final Score fans? I know you guys were all wondering when I was going to jump back on and start talking crazy hockey nonsense and get it in along with the Not a Hockey Market podcast, which is rolling along. So be sure to check that out. A proud member of the Podcast City Network. Thrilled to be on here with you boys because guess what? Super Bowl is in the rear view. I'm glad we get to talk about it. But now we don't have to see some, blowouts and all that kind of stuff. And, I have to hear Champa Bay in my freaking head, over and over and over again, which has to be the worst damn T-shirt since Catholics versus convicts.
That's a bad one. That was a bad one.
So I'm thrilled to be on the show, be able to talk some NFL free agency, which I'm always down for. And also a little bit of what's going on in the hockey world. So I am thrilled to be here, boys.
Oh, yeah, definitely going to be an exciting day. Got a lot of stuff planned, and, it's pretty crazy lead up this week because, we like to do things a little different, and we're leading up to Valentine's Day, and, we knew it was going to be special, and then we saw this meme seemingly pop up out of nowhere that I think oh, hold on. There it is. Sorry, it's just taking me a while to get to it because I'm slow today. But when finding out Final Score is still going to air on Valentine's Day and JDM's coming to the show, obviously there's some excitement just because of what you bring. We're so happy that you're on the show today, man.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
No, but to make sure that you keep up with all things Final Score, you got to make sure that you follow us on social media at PCN Final Score on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram. Go on there, give us a like, give us a follow, give us a subscribe, and of course, always share it with your friends and invite your friends. Try and help spread the word of Final Score. As you see our goals that we have up above, we're almost to 1150 on Facebook, so we thank you guys so much for pushing us that far, but we're still on the drive for 1,500, and we're getting close to that 200 mark on Twitter. So definitely help us try and hit those marks, and definitely share. And we definitely appreciate you guys for that. But we have to talk about something that JDM alluded to, and that, of course, is Super Bowl 55 and the crazy shenanigans that was. Honestly, I don't think nobody could have predicted how this game went. For Patrick Mahomes to come out and play as poorly as he did from the get-go, ended up having 2 interceptions in the game, just very uncharacteristic of how he had played all season long. So it was very surprising to see the Tampa Bay defense, for some, pretty sure someone else called that defense was going to make some noise, and be able to actually do something. And It was crazy, man. Craig, we're gonna start with you. What are your thoughts on it, man?
It seems like a lifetime ago already that this game was played. Like so much has happened since last week and the Super Bowl itself and all the fallout afterwards. And Tom Brady not being prepared for that Florida sun and that day drinking. That is not for amateurs, my friend. That is not for amateurs.
No, it is not.
But no, you hit it right on the head. That defense for the Buccaneers, we were talking about it on last week's show and how good they are and how their pass rush is and really what they were able to do. We've seen glimpses of that, of defenses being able to bottle up the Chiefs for spurts, like just for small stints.
Mm-hmm.
But the Buccaneers were actually able to do it for an entire game, which is really the first time that's happened in quite a while for Pat Mahomes. He was still making plays like literally horizontal to the ground, like a couple feet off the ground, slinging 25, 30-yard passes like they're absolutely nothing. So, I mean, this is a bump in the road for the Chiefs, but it's really more of a testament to the Buccaneers, I think. The fact that they were able to put it all together after, the bye week going 7-5 and then finish out the rest of the season. They finally had it all clicking on all cylinders. And Tom Brady, yet again, another ring. This time not with the Patriots, but second championship in history for the Buccaneers and the first team ever to do it in their home stadium, which is wild. But yeah, I mean, testament to the Buccaneers, I think, in my opinion. They were good on all phases of the game.
Absolutely. And, I bet you that the quarterback coach for Tom Brady probably felt pretty useless just looking at how just surgical and good Tom Brady was. I mean, if you ever feel useless, just remember that Tom Brady actually does have a quarterback coach. So I'm just saying.
So did Peyton Manning.
So did Peyton Manning
had one too.
Just saying.
And sooner or later, when are we going to congratulate Tom Brady's quarterback coach on whatever new head coaching job he's going to get because of this promotion?
Eventually, yeah.
It's going to end up happening. Let me tell you, that Super Bowl was awesome, dude. It was a lot of fun for me to watch because I love the idea of Darth Vader coming in and just destroying everybody's hopes and dreams and saying, I am going to now have more Super Bowls than the most Super Bowls from a franchise in history. I have 7. Pittsburgh's got 6. Patriots have 6. But I have 7. Are you kidding me with that? Only thing I say I didn't like too much, being named MVP, I wanted to give that to Leonard Fournette because Tampa Bay does not win that game without the power running and the clock ticking of Leonard Fournette, dude. He was an absolute beast in that game.
Well, it's a lot of it's set up for Ronald Jones too, as well, and the fact that the threat of that passing game. Look at Gronk comes out of nowhere and has the Gronk of old, 2 touchdowns there, and really the Buccaneers hadn't been running the football a lot. They were in the bottom half of the league in rushing offense. So for them to be able to control the clock and that's a lot of. I mean, this is what you need to do when you have a guy like Brady on the field. You have to mix in some running. We saw that when he did it with the Patriots in Super Bowls, but that means that if it's not as effective like it wasn't early in the game, that means that your passing, your has to be pinpoint. Like your passing game has to be pinpoint, and he did just that. He stepped up in a big game like he always does. You guys call him Darth Vader. I call him one of the greatest of all time, just because I've been watching him his entire career. But it's just me.
Darth Vader is still one of the greatest of all time. I mean, just
that's a good point.
He just pisses off a lot of people.
Yeah, he's OG. Come on now. But
that's true.
But the big thing I see with this, I think the only reason that Leonard Fournette or even Ronald Jones didn't get it, neither one of them topped 100 yards in this game, but combined 150 rushing yards. Like you said, Tampa was in the bottom of the league in rushing, and then to come out and put up an almost 150-yard day between 2 backs and get a touchdown, I mean, that's pretty good, honestly. But when you look at how just surgical Tom Brady was, and this is why I think he got it, 21 of 29, 201 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's pretty surgical. Only got sacked once and had a rating of 125.8. So the guy looked great. He looked the part like he always has in most Super Bowls that he's played in, unless you're playing the Eagles. So I'm not too surprised to see Tom Brady go out and ball the way he was. What I am surprised, though, is to see how day drunk he got. during the parade, and even got ballsy enough throw the Vince Lombardi trophy, which I have actually more to say about that because I found out some interesting stuff about that today and why and who is really pissed off about it. But still, I think it's just hilarious. I mean, look at that guy. He has to be helped out by people. Like, come on. That dude was straight.
I told you, I'm not surprised about it. Dude's 40, 43, 44 years old. He knows he's at the end of his career. Hell, laugh at dude. He probably wasn't allowed to do that in New England, and now you actually got away from that, and now you can. Dude, you live your life, man.
Well, did you see his response to it though? When people were like, "Oh my gosh, is Tom Brady drunk? Is something wrong with him?" And he literally made a Twitter post that said, "Nothing to see here, just little avocado tequila."
Yeah, I love it. I'm all for that. Go for it.
Oh man,
dude, that avocado tequila, that flavored tequila will catch up to you. Mark my words, it will catch up to you.
It's absolutely dangerous, and you know what? He does not know how to handle being drunk in Florida. He does not know how to day drink. You know what it was?
Especially out on a boat.
On a boat? Are you kidding me? Why is he not talking to the guy that knows how to fashion boats out of Ford F-150s? Come on. We've done this before. We live on the water, boys. You know,
my goodness.
I mean, come on. I'm gonna have to tell him maybe instead of Tampa, come down to Miami, win a Super Bowl, and I'll show you how it's really done.
Well, you know, it's funny that you mentioned that because I found this meme I thought was great, and honest, it seems to kind of reflect what Tom Brady's doing right now because it seems like he can just show up to any random team and might even do so in like 20 years and be like, "Hey, boys, want to go win a Super Bowl?" It's crazy.
Hey, if that's the case and he wants to be considered the GOAT, there's one team located in Detroit, Michigan that would really make that status. You want to be the GOAT, go there and actually try to win.
I think Browns fans would argue with you.
Yeah,
that is true. That is true. But the Lions haven't had a championship for longer than Cleveland, so
this is true. But you know,
no longer's drought.
But, you know, looking at this whole thing, it's just crazy to see Tom Brady be able to pull off his feet, get this 7th ring, and be able to really cement his legacy. I mean, it's just wild. This actually has happened. And so many people were against this happening. They were so mad at the possibility of this happening. And who to think that you put Tom Brady on a team with actual playmakers, calling you out, New England, and he goes and is actually able to win another. So, I mean, hey, hats off to the guy, even if he does look like a GOAT in 20 years.
Big hats off to him, but let's not forget we have a future GOAT right behind him, and that's Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
Oh,
he's not done.
I thought you were going to say Blaine Gabbert. I was like, well, that's his backup.
Nope.
I was like, wow.
I want to. Well, we give a lot of stuff to the Bucks. No, yeah, bold. That's bold. We talk a lot about the Bucks, but let's not completely just ignore the Chiefs here. Okay, they have an extremely talented roster, and this adversity is only going to piss off Patrick Mahomes even more, and he's going to come back even better. And this is what he's going to shoot for. He's going to try to shoot for that kind of status, that 7 Super Bowl kind of, scenario. And who knows, between him and Andy Reid being the new Brady Belichick, it could be possible, boys.
I mean, could be.
Yeah, there's a lot of pieces that go into that, but yeah, their Kansas City's windows right now. You look at teams that had really good runs, like the Buffalo Bills in the 90s. They had really good pieces, and then eventually those pieces have to go away. You have to replace them, just like the Patriots were able to somehow over the course of 20 years, basically just plug and play and do that. So if the Chiefs are able to do that, and barring any injury, yeah, absolutely, Patrick Mahomes will be back in more. Will he win 7? I don't think so. That's something that you have to have a lot of things go your way. And I mean, look at some of the great teams that in the past that didn't win Super Bowls. I'm talking about the undefeated Patriots when they lost, and other teams like that. I mean, what was the other one? Oh, the Vikings didn't even make the Super Bowl when they were 15-1. Like some of these great teams, you got to have a lot. You got to have a lot going for you, and you just stop up there in your Notre Dame stuff, putting that thing on me. You gotta have a lot of stuff go your way, but hopefully, like barring injury, any major injury, and any guys getting too like money hungry and not being able to come back, and they should be able to be back very soon.
Yeah, well, Gronk's got plenty invested in his CBD companies when he retired during that 1 year. That he could be like,
That
"You want
1
me to
year.
come play for $5 and a beer? Yeah, I'm in."
Well, the beer was the kicker. That's what got him.
But I say it's like the
that was
old
that was
wrestling
the
approach,
signing
you know?
bonus.
The old wrestling approach, just, hot dog and a handshake, just replace it with a beer, and he's there, So,
Exactly.
That's right.
oh man, but you know what's always there for us? That's right, transition time.
Podcast City Network shop.
That's right. That's too good. What can you tell us?
Yeah, at the on PCN shop, you can get a net gator to protect yourself from COVID-19. You can get a mug for your morning coffee, or you can just get a T-shirt. You can represent your favorite sports podcast out today. We've got you covered at PCN shop. You can get the latest apparel and gear for your favorite podcast and for Podcast City Network by visiting podcastcity.net/shop and check out the lineup. And while you're there, you can check out Chris's favorite concoction.
Yes.
So you can get your Down with College Football playoff shirt, Down with CFP. If you get your shirt, you take a selfie. You can tag FinalScore in social media and use the hashtag Down with CFP. We'll send you something. Some kudos, put you on the show. Something. We'll send you something. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
For sure, and definitely.
We'll have our meme. We'll have our meme captain over there make a meme out of you.
There you go. Our meme guy, Jimmy, will make a meme out of you. How about that? Everyone wants to be a meme.
Hey, that could be exciting. And that way you can be a part of the whole experience, because we all know that the College Football Committee was in front of a live studio audience. It'd be nothing but just intense booing. So you can wear your shirt and boycott the CFP with pride and boo the ever-living crap out of these people. So, yeah, just saying. Just saying. But I also want to
expand it. It's all I'm saying. Make it like Division I AA or FCS.
Oh,
Make
yeah.
it like FCS.
That'd be
We're
nice.
gonna go.
But you know that's not gonna happen. They're gonna be like, no, we're only gonna add that's a whole nother conversation.
Wishful thinking, wishful thinking for us college football fans.
Hey, at least we're getting a video game back. But either way, though, we got to move on.
That is true.
We did hear that the Texans have come to an agreement to release J.J. Watt upon his request. This is huge news for so many reasons, just because this is part of the ever-evolving drama that is happening down in Houston that seemingly now has no end. And now we're looking at one of the best defensive players possibly of all time being released because, hey, things aren't just that great in Texan land. This is mind-boggling on so many levels. Wow, JDM, we're going to start with you. What's your opinion on this, man?
Dude, let me tell you, I'm not completely surprised. I'm not. I was talking about it a while back with you boys where I was curious about Houston's defense aging. That they were just aging and they needed to move on from J.J. Watt. Now, J.J. Watt still's got it. He can still contribute. Could you imagine having to see J.J. Watt on a third down every time? Like, that is just not, there are good defensive schemes out there that he could contribute to and be very effective for 3-4 more years. It's a war of attrition in football, man. You need the endurance, you need the energy, and you need the guys. You need your first and second down rushers, and you need your third down rusher as well. So I'm not surprised by it. And Houston is just a dumpster fire of management. I mean, I don't know what's worse, them or the Edmonton Oilers. Like when it comes to that.
That's a good point.
Here's all this talent, and let's just piss it all away and trade pieces.
There's always got to be one. There's always got to be one.
There's always got to be one. There's always got to be one. So, yeah, that's my thoughts behind it. But you know what, man? For the player's sake, at least he's out of there.
Yeah. I mean,
and that played in. Yeah, that played into why they did it, because the question came up, why not trade him? And Chris, you and I were talking about this when it came out, but there was from more reports that have come out is that the conversation was had about trading him, and they just felt, or at least the McNair family, who's CEO of the team, felt that we could trade, but realistically, he's done so much for the city and the organization. It's kind of like if Stafford was so pissed off at the Lions that they would have granted him a release if he wanted to, because he's done so much for the city. It's a move of respect. Does it make sense from a football standpoint? Absolutely not. You could get, I don't know, maybe a 5th round pick for JJ Watt at this point in his career. But I mean, at this point, it just makes sense. Just release him. You're going to end up taking dead money cap hit anyway at this point. So why not just let him go where he wants to go?
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, when you think of like how he can fit into a lot of defensive schemes, this guy is very versatile. And even at his age, you haven't been in the league now 10 years, he still can bring it. And imagine if he gets on a defense that actually could do something. But, look at some of his career highlights real quick. We're going to throw up the graphic. He was drafted number 11 overall out of Wisconsin out in the 2011 draft. He's a 3-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year and has over 101 career sacks, which is 31st all time. So this guy is the man. Only player in NFL history with 2 20-plus sack seasons. This guy can bring it, and it's just he's been such a cornerstone for this franchise for so long. And like you said, not just on the field, but off it as well. The city of Houston universally loves him. And still, Houston finds a way to screw it up and lose one of their best players and probably, one of the biggest names they've ever had in their history. So it just boggles my mind that Houston would find a way to further screw up their own situation, because we already know Deshaun Watson's going to end up out the door one way or another. He's either going to be sitting out the season or he's going to end up traded. No matter how much Houston wants to try and fight that inevitability, now what are you going to be left with after all this? Like, seriously, there's not going to be anything left. It's a dumpster fire.
Yeah, ever since the executive vice president was brought in a year and a half ago, they actually showed a list. I think it was CBS Sports was showing a list of all the people that have either been let go or players that have been traded and people that have really left at the organization. And it's a really long list. Like, a lot of important people have left this. So really the McNair family is just trying to scramble. They're trying to do what they think is best for the team. But at this point, any of us could make better decisions. What's going on in that organization right now? Like, put any of us in that spot, and we could be doing just about the same as good of a job as they are. So there's a lot to really to kind of push forward here. It seems like they're going backwards very quickly as an organization, but I don't know. Maybe they've got some grand plan, and maybe they're going to package Deshaun Watson to go somewhere, even though they're saying they're not going to be on the phone. Like, or maybe they're just delusional and hopeful they can work something out with Watson.
I mean, that's pretty delusional, I feel like. At the end of the day, Deshaun Watson's made his point very known, even before they hired the GM, before they hired the head coach, just because the organization is not showing him the due respect he feels he deserves. And with that, he wants to be included in those talks, which I feel like, and I even had a whole argument with somebody the other day about this. If you want someone to be the face of your franchise and be your franchise quarterback, especially in the age of the NFL where the quarterback position is the most important position on the field, and this guy has the kind of talent he does, and you don't want to include him on your search, that just seems boneheaded to me. Because to me, it feels like you should include players of that nature in these kind of talks to be able to get the kind of coaching staff that's able to complement their playing style and their abilities to have the best success on the field. It's a no-brainer, yet the Houston Texans still find a way to screw it up. So here we are.
I mean, historically, you don't involve players in that, but when they're, like we talked about earlier, when they're big time cornerstone pieces, like, you at least want to get their input. You might not go with what they say, but you just want to get their input. And they didn't even do that with Watson. So that's like you said, it's very head scratching. But I mean, JJ Watt is kind of the topic of discussion here. And there's a few places that he could land. Mm-hmm. I don't know I have a few places in mind just based on the research that I've done leading up to the show. But what do you guys think? Where do you think JJ Watt's going to land?
Ooh. Man, so many places.
I'll let you field this one first, man. Go for it.
Yeah. So honestly, there's so many different places I could use a guy like this, even as a veteran presence even. But I think he could bring a lot more to the table than that. My two places right now, I would say, would first be the Indianapolis Colts. They are third right now in cap space going into next season and could really use an upgrade at defensive end from Danico Autry. So imagine replacing that with J.J. Watt and how much more dynamic that defense gets, especially when you're looking on the other end of that defensive line. So with them also having $78.5 million in cap space going into next season, obviously some of that's going to go towards the quarterback. But they could very easily afford J.J. Watt and be able to bolster that defense. The other team is our now defending Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because that defense is totally stacked, but they are even 10th in cap with $27.7 million going into next season as of right now. And when you're looking at that defense, you wonder, how can you upgrade it? Well, they have one defensive end that's a starting defensive end by the name of William Golston, who really has not been that big of a contributor in comparison, in my opinion, to J.J. Watt. So that could be an upgrade right there and bring another notable name and good veteran presence to the locker room. Imagine that, Ndamukong Suh and J.J. Watt. That'd be such a nasty defense. But,
well, and Ndamukong Suh is on a 1-year deal. He's going to be out anyway. So yeah, they have more. Yeah, he's going to have to come back on a lesser deal again. But yeah, they have, as you said, they have some players they could, let go of to create that cap space. That was one of the teams that I've seen that's in the running for a JJ Watt is the Buccaneers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, definitely. And we got one of our longtime fan favorites, Jimmy, asking maybe the Bears, Khalil Mack and JJ Watt.
Oof.
I mean, you'll sell a lot of jerseys.
They don't have a lot. Sure. They don't have a lot of cap space, and the fact that they are looking for a new quarterback, so they're trying to be in the conversation for a new quarterback, which will take up a lot of cap space for them.
Well, if they are able to offload Nick Foles or Mitchell Trubisky, I mean, Mitchell Trubisky won't be as impactful as Nick Foles, but they might be able to offload some of that money, possibly.
Well, there won't be much. I mean, Nick Foles can be the big one because Trubisky's still on that. He doesn't even have an extension yet off of his rookie contract, so it's just minimal money for them.
Yeah, there's a lot of options out there, boys. That's what it comes down to. And let's not forget, it all depends on JJ Watt.
Mm-hmm.
What's he want to do, right? Does he want to chase a ring? Is he saying to himself, I'm now going to go chase a ring? Yep. And therefore, I'm going to go try to win one with my brother. I don't know. Or I'm going to Brady. I am going to the dark side. I'm going to have a nice little heel turn, maybe a little heel turn. And I'm going to be the new LeBron James. And I'm just going to go to freaking Tampa Bay. Who knows?
Couple of the teams that I've been seeing, the Buccaneers are one. The Ravens are another one that's possible. But they would have to do a little bit of moving. Mm-hmm. And Yannick Ngakoue is a pending free agent. Not sure if he's going to come back, but they really have a heavy importance on the pass rush. But two teams that I think that some are gonna talk smack about it, but it makes a lot of sense from the perspective of where he's at and kind of his mindset of this partner's career. The top destination a lot of people are talking about is the Pittsburgh Steelers because both of his brothers already play there. So the fact that he could play with his brothers, they're in a bunch of they're in a big financial situation right now too, because you don't know what's going on with Big Ben. Juju Smith-Schuster's probably out the doors. There's your top wide receiver. So that's a big destination. But the other destination could be the Green Bay Packers. He's a Wisconsin native. And the fact that the Packers still were just in the NFC Championship game, like they still are a good team in the NFC. Those are the two top destinations for me for JJ Watt where he could land.
Well, that and J.J. Watt also has a really good relationship, if I'm not mistaken, with Aaron Rodgers. So, I mean, Aaron Rodgers, I'm sure, would more than be happy to lobby him on over. So, I mean, that would be very sick, too, and be a huge upgrade for that defense after the huge step they took just this past season. So, man, that'd be huge. I know Packers fans are listening right now like, yeah, make it happen. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's definitely going to be very interesting.
No, absolutely. I already see everybody making cheese hats with JJ Watt on top of them.
For sure, but
just sitting there, just eating cheese.
Oh man, I get to see the picture of sitting on sideline. But a quick shout out though to a lot of our our listeners out in the chat right now. Of course, meme god Jimmy out there. Also, shout out to David C. Russell of the Deathmatch Russell podcast. It's actually his birthday today, so happy birthday to David C. Russell.
Happy birthday, David C. Russell.
Yes, sir. And another shout out to Ulysses from Homestead, who's tuning in the show, as well as Joseph Gonzalez. Thank you for watching, bud. Definitely, we love all the support that you guys give us, and to give us more support, you can also go and check out all the great content and episodes and all the great stuff that we have out. Where can they find that, Craig?
Well, you can find all the audio versions of our podcast on any platform that you find your podcast on. Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Stitcher, Podbean, Google Podcasts, Player FM, Bullhorn, and Castbox. You can find the video version, just like this episode, on our YouTube page, so go ahead and subscribe there. You can just search keyword PCN Final Score, all one word, and of course, you can find anything related to Final Score on podcastcity.net/Final Score.
Oh, yes, most definitely. Make sure to check it all out there. And so much great stuff that we have on there. But it is now time to talk about, since we are now talking about JJ Watt, might as well go ahead and throw it into NFL free agency because, man, this is going to be probably one of the wildest free agency periods that we've had in an extremely long time, just because of all the big name players. And, of course, the quarterback carousel might be one of the largest we've seen also in a long time. This is going to be wild, guys. Like, we got to dig into this thing. Where do we want to start?
I mean, we could start with the graphic of showing the teams that already we know are going to have a new quarterback in 2021, and the other side of teams that there are rumored to be in the market for a quarterback, or we don't know what their status is for a long-term QB. I mean, on the left side of that screen, you're going to see teams like the Jaguars, the Washington football team, the Colts, the Eagles, the Patriots, the Rams, and Lions. All those teams we're expecting to have a new quarterback in 2021, or they've already went and done it. I mean, the Jaguars are linked to Trevor Lawrence at number 1. Washington, they don't know. Alex Smith is thinking to be coming back, but there's a lot of talks that they're going to cut him, which would save them $13 million in cap. So they probably will have a new starter. The Colts, obviously, Phillip Rivers is retiring. Eagles are going to move on from Wentz. So Hurts probably will end up being that new QB1 in week 1. The Patriots, we don't know if Newton's going to be there. I think that experiment's probably over for the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
They're either going to roll a Stidham or they're just going to have to draft somebody this year. And then, of course, the Rams and Lions made the trade for Stafford and Goff. But we know those teams are going to have a new quarterback in 2021. And there's a handful on the other side you see there that are rumored to be in the market for a quarterback.
Oh, yeah. So many different ones that you see on there currently, including the Carolina Panthers, who are presumably possibly moving on from Teddy Bridgewater, as well as the Houston Texans because of the Deshaun Watson saga. Chicago also not happy with Mitchell Trubisky or Nick Foles, so they're definitely looking for an upgrade there. The Jets have already said that they are willing to shop Sam Darnold, also with a defensive-minded head coach. I know the quarterback's not going to be a position they're too awfully attached to, so definitely something to look at as well. And, of course, you look at Denver. Now, Denver is an interesting one, as well as San Francisco, just because they both had quarterbacks that were guys that were looked to be the future with Drew Lock and with Jimmy Garoppolo, both of which really didn't pan out. And, of course, Jimmy G did make it to a Super Bowl, but he was not instrumental in any way, shape, or form in making that happen, having really to rely on their defense and run game. So definitely watch that situation closely, as well as Seattle and New Orleans. And these two are extremely interesting just because Russell Wilson has made comments about how he feels that he is not as well protected as he should be, given the kind of quarterback that he is and the caliber of team he is on. So with that, now teams are already starting to contact the Seattle Seahawks about the availability of Russell Wilson. So absolutely insane what could be happening there, as well as with the New Orleans Saints, Drew Brees. We don't know if that loss in the playoffs was going to be his last game or not, but I mean, we'll find out eventually. But if you look to what they have as an alternative, you're looking at either Jameis Winston, who's not expected to return, or Taysom Hill, who is a project guy at best, but not, I think, fit to be able to lead as a quarterback. But the thing that I think a lot of people are missing is that we could see, as you see on this screen, this is 15 teams. That is almost half the league that could be involved in some type of quarterback move or will have a new quarterback this upcoming season. And why that is huge is you could literally see anybody go anywhere in this is a literal quarterback carousel. So, man, this is going to be wild, guys.
It all stems from Deshaun Watson. Watson is the key to all of this, right? Watson let everybody know that he was unhappy. He said, nope, I want out. And then here comes like one of his buddies, Russell Wilson, going, you know what? I'm not well protected enough. Maybe I want out. And it's just this power of players is very noticeable this year in the NFL. They're speaking their minds. They're saying what they're happy with, what they're not happy with, what they want out of their GMs, and they're calling them out and saying, "Listen, this is what I feel like I need." We know that there was that clip of Drew Brees saying, "Hey, to Jameis Winston, this is your team now." We'll see. I don't know if you want to give Jameis Winston that kind of power. He might throw it to the other guy.
Yeah, Sean Payton's got a huge hard on for Taysom Hill for some reason. So we don't know what's going on there.
Well, hey,
I'm glad not to see the Dolphins there though on that sheet.
Let's keep in mind though that Jameis Winston did have corrective eye surgery, so he might be able to throw better now. Maybe.
That was 2 years ago, and he threw a league-leading 30-some picks.
Hey, that surgery was after the 30 picks were shown or thrown, sir. Okay?
Right. Oh, that's what it was. My bad. But no, you mentioned JDM. You mentioned the Dolphins. Like, we're not even listing the teams on these columns that still have uncertainty. The Packers. There's been a lot of rumors about Aaron Rodgers and his future there. The Cowboys are expected to re-sign Dak, but there's still no talks on an extension yet. Mm-hmm. And they had a hype video for next year, which is funny if you guys saw this. The Cowboys put out a hype video, and there was no Dak in it. And they're like,
no Dak.
That's not a good sign.
That's some bullshit. You got the Steelers, Big Ben. We still don't know if he's going to retire. The Falcons might move on from Matt Ryan at some point because he's getting older. The Bucks, Brady's got 1 year left. Is he going to – he said he's coming back, but you don't know until it actually happens.
Yeah.
And then the Dolphins, I have them on this list because they are very closely linked, as a rumor, to the Texans with the Deshaun Watson trade. So that's still, if you add all those up, that's more than half the league.
That's more than half the league. But let me ask you this: how many years are we going to hear that Deshaun Watson is rumored to be going to the Dolphins? I feel like it's been extended.
It's just this year.
It feels like 5. Okay, because it's all they talk about. It's all that everyone's saying.
Because they have cap room and they have a ton of picks that they would trade for, which is funny enough.
That they got from
Houston picks. They're Houston's picks. They would trade back.
Yeah,
and because look at how that defense has already been playing under Flores, and look at the struggles they had on offense. You plug in Deshaun Watson to that offense, and it's already going to be better than either Fitzpatrick or Tua would be able to do at their current spots in their career.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely hands down. I feel like I'm actually watching draft day. It's just live where he's going to just
Craig's hyped.
Trade them all back for a stack of pancakes because I feel like it.
I love that.
As long as nobody gets traded for a washing machine, I think we'll be okay. But at the end of the day, though,
Jackie Moon.
Yeah, right. Go Jackie Moon. But we got to look at now, this is a good segue, into our top NFL free agents that are currently available. This is our current top 30, according to PFF, which right now has Dak Prescott number 1, which is still interesting given that he's coming off a massive ankle injury. And obviously we still don't know what's going to happen, possibly with him and the Cowboys. Does he come back? We know that, my God, why can't I even think of his name right now? Jerry Jones totally loves Dak Prescott, but it always seems like that Jerry Jones will say one thing, but will actually do another. So, yeah, it's definitely interesting to see how that one's going to play out. So, but you look at some of the guys on this list. Chris Godwin just won a Super Bowl. He's there at number 2. Looking further down the list, Hunter Henry, Will Fuller's another big one, which
so 3 and 4, Allen Robinson and Kenny Golladay. Watch out for those guys. Those guys are big names because of 2 different reasons. Allen Robinson has put up he's put up great wide receiver numbers with garbage quarterbacks everywhere he went. In Jacksonville, he still put up big wide receiver numbers. And then in Chicago with Mitchell fucking Trubisky as his quarterback and Nick Foles, he still put up big time numbers in relative comparison to other wide receivers. Golladay is just super young. He was named Baby Megatron in Detroit for a reason. Like he's a physical freak, but like he could go somewhere. Like he could end up getting a big contract, whether it's deserved or not. I think he could end up getting a big contract. And then you got like a bunch of linemen and stuff. I think Shaq Barrett's a big one to watch out for on this list. He says he wants to break the bank for coming into free agency.
I mean, we'll see.
I'm not sure if
guess.
he's going. I don't think he's going to break the bank, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm looking at this list, boys, and I do see a lot of defensive players, and I see a lot of defensive impact players that are a little bit older, like Richard Sherman. Like, where does he want to go to maybe help with a cornerback core, and help out some, go to a division with a top quarterback and try to cause a little bit of problems there. You have Javon Clowney as a free agent. You have JJ Watt. You got some big time defensive players that are going to ask for way too much money.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely want to make a quick shout out that 2 guys on this list are from my alma mater, Western Michigan. Taylor Moton, tackle. Most likely, there's probably gonna re-sign with the Panthers, but he's number 12 on this list. And Corey Davis, who is a former number 5 pick for Tennessee, there's a possibility he would be a great number 2 wide receiver somewhere. We'll see kind of how he goes from there. But there's a lot of names, like bigger names, that aren't on this top 30. Like PFF did the top 150. We don't have that time or space to go over all 150. So you could, if you want, you could go to PFF and kind of look at it from there. And sometimes take these with a little grain of salt, because PFF does have some slanted views on some things.
Yes.
But other ones, like we were talking about, Juju Smith-Schuster's on this list in the top 30. Like there's a lot of talks that he's not coming back to Pittsburgh.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of talks that he's the next Antonio Brown too, where he is just going to have his TikTok ego be a lot bigger than his actual football ego, and for some reason, he just doesn't fit into a locker room. He's going to be more of a distraction than anything else. And right now, there are so many other distractions for football teams. That's the last thing they want to deal with.
That is true. But looking in the chat right now, we're looking at some of our listeners right now chiming in. We see Jim in the bar asking about Alex Smith getting another shot if he does get cut, and said maybe New England. And honestly, I mean, if you get him the right kind of offense with Bill Belichick, that probably could work. And you also saw Chad Craig mention Corey Davis to New England as well.
Yeah, he met another thing too to pay attention to with Alex Smith. He did play in college under Urban Meyer at Utah. So there's a possibility that, yes, we know they're going to probably draft Trevor Lawrence and trade Gardner Minshew or cut him at some point. So there's a possibility that Alex Smith could go to Jacksonville to be a bridge quarterback for a year or so for Trevor Lawrence. That's a possibility I've seen out there as well. Big names on this list. You mentioned Jadeveon Clowney, Russell Okung, the tackle, Alejandro Villanueva, tackle, Cam Newton, Andy Dalton on here in the top 40.
Who's one that you've seen? Because I looked through this list, boys. If you could think of one that's off the board, off the 30, that jumps out at you and be like, what the hell is that guy doing here? For me, it's Aaron Jones, running back for the Green Bay Packers. He had himself one hell of a season, in my opinion, for a running back. Like most running backs, it depends on their environment, right? Who's their quarterback? Can they work off the play action? Do they have a solid offensive line? I mean, he's quietly been one of the better running backs, this season. And he's going to demand a little bit more money, and he's not going to get it from Green Bay. So he's going to go somewhere else.
But guess what? If you want to look at the history, running backs are a dime a dozen now. It doesn't matter.
They are.
And you're absolutely right. He's going to ask for some money, but only a team that's got a lot of cap space and feels like they really need him are going to take him. And the prediction here from PFF is that he could go to Miami for the Dolphins. But like Aaron Jones, he's been a top running back, but here's the problem. It's a passing league now. Running backs are important, but they have to be multifaceted. You got to be able to catch out of the backfield, and you
can't
like
catch out of
a Eckler, McCaffrey, Kamara. And if he's not able, Dalvin Cook to an extent, but look at say for instance like the Vikings, they have a run heavy scheme. How have they done the last couple of years with Cook in the backfield? They haven't had any success in the playoffs. They haven't won a Super Bowl. There's you can kind of take that information and use it however you want. But yeah, that is an interesting thing, that running back, the market for them is not high anymore. You can just draft a guy in the second, third, fourth round and plug him in and do his thing. And yeah, like who was the guy that went to that was in Washington this last year? Was like an undrafted free agent and just destroyed it for a couple weeks. I forget the guy's name,
Jeez.
but
That's
he's
going
had
deep.
it. Yeah, it's going deep in the recesses of the brain. But I think a big one on this list is Yannick Ngakoue.
Mm-hmm.
He's at 46 out of 150, and he's had a lot of issues since he's been causing trouble in Jacksonville, and then he went out and went to a couple different teams. He went to the Vikings and then got traded to the Ravens. But now he's going to be that free agent that he also desperately wanted to be. And I think he's going to end up not getting as much money as he wants, or if he gets the money he wants, he's going to go to a team that's garbage.
It could happen, but
it's potential. So that's what he wants. Is he wants the money. He's always wanted the money. So I think that'll be an interesting play to see where he turns up.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And some of the players I'm seeing here outside the top 30, and I've been looking up and down this list, especially when you look at guys like T.Y. Hilton that's going to be available, Kenyon Drake that's going to be available, and things like that really could make an impact on another team. But I'm going to pull out one, and a lot of people are probably going to laugh at it just because technically he is a free agent right now. It's not known if he's even coming back to play football, and that's tight end Rob Gronkowski. Because Rob Gronkowski was out for a whole year doing stupid wrestling with WWE and had no inkling of returning to football until Tom Brady made the move to Tampa. And now he had one season under his belt and did something only one other receiver has ever done in the Super Bowl, and that's catch multiple touchdown passes, which he shares now with Jerry Rice. So that being said, I think Rob Gronkowski could take another step next season, be able to be a more entrenched tight end option for Tom Brady if he does return. So it's something to look at going forward, because Rob Gronkowski's had a pretty prolific career, and I think he might try to make it just a little bit more. So just saying. Yeah,
as long as Brady's there, he's going to be on an option to play at least. That's the only guy he wants to play for.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And I mean,
he said
at this point in his career, why not? Like, if he probably would even take like veteran minimum at this point to just play for Brady.
Well, yeah, and that way he could be like, yeah, I play with Tom Brady, and then go out and party as hard as he can at the club. So, that's just what he does, and catch Lombardi trophies from boat to boat, because, I mean, that's the thing to do when you've won a bunch of Super Bowls, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, kind of linking last segment here, talking about quarterbacks in the market. There's another name on this list of 150 that I want to touch on just for a second, just because it has somewhat level of importance. Tyrod Taylor's going to be a free agent here, and you saw he's more always been a bridge QB. But with all these teams, with about half the league looking for quarterback options, Tyrod Taylor is a possibility that he could go to a place maybe like Washington or a Jacksonville, somewhere that, needs a QB for a year or two.
Absolutely.
Definitely a possibility, or even a team that has a QB that they're trying out, like the Philadelphia Eagles with Jalen Hurts. And
that would be a good fit.
That would be a pretty good fit. And then, hey, Hurts, you got to learn a little bit. Taylor, show him a little something. I mean, whatever it is that you can for your level, but show him something.
For sure. But definitely make sure to check back with us. None of this can become official until the new league year starts in March either way. So we'll definitely have more information over the coming weeks until we get to that new league year. And a lot of these contracts are becoming official, because that's when the real fun happens. So definitely make sure to join us then. But at this time, though, we got to give it up to our parent network, Podcast City Network. What can you tell us about that, Craig?
Well, Final Score is a proud member of Podcast City Network. PCN has 20 independent podcast members across all genres of podcasting. You can find more about PCN on all major social media platforms: Facebook.com/Podcast City Network, Twitter @Podcast City Net. On YouTube, search keywords Podcast City Network, and of course the website podcastcity.net. Be creative, be independent, be yourself. Podcast City Network.
Absolutely. Definitely make sure to check them out. But now it's time, I know, for the moment that JDM's been waiting for, and that is the NHL update, because, man, there's so much to talk about, and I know you're ready for this.
Are you kidding me? I was born ready for this kind of stuff, man. Just to give a quick shout out, Podcast City Network, not a hockey market podcast, is a proud member of that network. You guys have given us nothing but support, sharing us on all kinds of platforms. We are thrilled to be a part of it. Me and my hockey boys love you guys. Big supporters all the way through. So be sure to check out Not a Hockey Market podcast by searching through Podcast City Network. You'll find us there, and just make sure you like, subscribe, and all that kind of stuff. And you get to see myself and some of my boys get to talk major trash about all the really popular NHL teams while we put a focus on those smaller markets out to prove that hockey is for everyone. And guess what? There are knowledgeable hockey fans all the way down in South Florida. Dale, here we go.
Yeah, speaking of the popular topics in NHL news, I mean, so far, and I was just checking the standings late last night. I mean, COVID has really kind of done a number so far to start the season on the NHL. Some teams have played 17 games, others have played 9, 10 games. So I want to get your take on the effect that COVID-19 has had so far early in the NHL season.
Well, let's go ahead and start off with that. So what do we know about hockey, boys? It's played indoors on ice. It's cold. I mean, these are not exactly what you would call COVID-friendly environments.
Right.
I mean,
True.
you know, and you know for a fact you got the boys on the bench just snotting up on the ice, and then they let loose their boogers and their spit. It's just on the ice itself.
Graphic.
It's not really COVID friendly. What the NHL has done is they have said we have to have a season. We've set it up where we have geographical bubbles. This was going to happen. We postponed the games, we reschedule them, we jammed packed this season. I think very well knowingly they would have to extend the regular season. They knew for a fact, like they did that on purpose with the expectation that they would end up with some postponed games. Some teams would have to play catch up towards the end of the season. It allows teams that maybe didn't have any postponed games to rest and get healthy and try to, bring back their full squad. And that way they can actually have a full season. The regular season will get extended. They are doing what they need to do in terms of postponing games, and I think they're doing it properly. They are also very wide open with the COVID list. It is COVID protocol. It is not, COVID exactly. Just because you're put on the COVID protocol list. Some of them are false positives. Some of them are because you were in contact with a trainer that did test positive. But, that doesn't mean you tested positive directly. It's going to get a little bit crazy. It might end up unfair for some teams just because they ended up with the shit end of the deal. Similar to how Pittsburgh did at one point in the NFL. And the NHL is just trying to do whatever it is that they can and the best that they can. And when it comes down to it, man, we are the lower echelon of major sports. So, but we have the loyalty of the fans. So we got to do it. We don't have the excess income that the NFL has that they could just blow on stupid boat parades.
Well, that's real quick. I mean, you saw that the NHL basically borrowed $1 billion to help give to their organizations. Like, do you see it? Like, is that something? Nothing? Like, what do you see out of that?
It's a Band-Aid ultimately. Yeah. But it's also future planning, because by doing that, it allows for teams to stay afloat. And also, when the salary cap since it's not going to get raised for a few years, right? When it passes through that time, they'll be able to raise it. So they'll be able to finally, they won't have to reduce it, basically. So that's what the $1 billion will definitely do to majority of the organizations, is they won't have to worry about saying, listen, we need to lower the salary cap.
Yeah, which is
We
already
can
a fear
keep
in other
it.
leagues too.
Right. That's a fear in a lot of leagues is, oh man, we're going to have to lower the salary cap.
Mm-hmm.
No, the NHL's loan of that $1 billion allows them to keep the salary cap level for a few years, get through this. And then once that happens, they'll be able to start raising it again. And the NHL is doing everything they can to make a little bit of extra revenue, man. The helmet sponsors for each team, for home and aways, the retro jerseys, the third jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, that's the popular thing right now with NHL fans is the jerseys.
Oh, for sure. And
That's one of the most popular.
Oh, for sure. But we just had a question come through the chat. We went ahead and posted it out to see if anybody in our chat had any questions. Jimmy said, do you think the NHL will use this season as an opportunity to do more permanent restructuring after COVID?
I definitely see that because let me tell you something. The fans of hockey, US or Canada, man, do they love this Canadian division.
It's a lot of fun to watch. Like
it's a lot of fun to watch, man. Nobody gives a shit about defense there.
And it's great. It's
great. It's like McDavid's here, Austin and Matthews is here. Let him go.
I had somebody ask me last week because he was like, "Yeah, you're a sports guy. Let me ask you this: It's like, what's going on in the NHL? Why is there like 5-3 in the first period?" And I was like, I don't know, just no training camp, I guess. I don't know. It's
it's really just letting the horses loose at the track.
Yeah, just let it go.
There. It's a lot of fun to watch. Definitely. I'm 40. I love it.
Just
every time it's my segment. Every time it's my segment, this is what he does. He goes, this is for you. I'll tell you, Jimmy. I don't think they're gonna do too much permanent restructuring because there is one big factor. And there it is.
Yeah.
Seattle, yeah.
That's right.
The Seattle Kraken will be coming in as an expansion team. And right now the Canadian division is the division that is one short. So, unless they squeeze in Seattle, could you imagine Seattle having to play against all the Canadian teams?
It's close enough to the Canadian border. I mean,
it's close enough, right? I wouldn't be surprised though that they do a bit of restructuring, but maybe not a full thing. They need to have these geographical locations because it is good to see, Florida versus Tampa. It's good to see Florida versus Nashville, which is close. Detroit versus Chicago. That's a great rivalry to have.
Always, man.
Calgary and Edmonton, and even that Battle of Alberta going 10 times this season. Holy crap, is that fun to watch. And most recently you have, some other rivalries that are starting to kind of come into play with this new schedule. These are playoff schedules right now, boys. I mean, St. Louis and Arizona, they are going to play for the 7th straight time on Monday due to the postponed games. So they've already played 6 games in a row, and they're going to play a rubber match on Monday. So that in itself is pretty freaking awesome. So that's my take on that. Switching gears though, what's really fun to talk about is the Battle of the Sunshine State right now in the NHL. Is it legit or is it not legit is still in question, but the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning, it looks like we actually finally have a rivalry. I don't know if you guys are watching at all, but they just split the first 2 games, 1-1. They have their rubber match for the first series on Monday, and we'll see what happens. Linking to the COVID situation, though, I think a few of the Tampa Bay Lightning players went to the boat parade because Steven Stamkos is on the COVID protocol list, so he missed Saturday's game and might miss Monday. Anthony Cirelli also on the COVID protocol list.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, Steven Stamkos, bud, you gotta lay off. Kucherov is out. Kucherov is out. You're the leading scorer. Like, don't hang out with Gronkowski, man. Just don't.
He parties too hard.
I don't know what you're doing. And I'm not sure why. I don't know why you're doing that, bud. But hey, just because you want to give yourself awful T-shirt names and call yourself Champa Bay does not mean you should go to the freaking boat parade.
But everybody's drinking avocado tequila.
No.
Oh my goodness.
No more avocado tequila for them, man. Tampa Bay's record at 10-2-1, pretty solid. Florida's at 8-2-2, right behind them. So the Panthers and the Lightning definitely have a good rivalry going on, and that's definitely something that I recommend watching and checking out. And a big shout out to my boy Carter Verhaeghe. Leads the Florida Panthers with 7 goals this season. And who let him go? Tampa.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. I heard about that earlier this week.
That is an interesting piece. That was a third, fourth line guy in Tampa where he was just like, this is bullshit. I am not a third line guy. I am a top 6 guy. And basically they said, well, but we already have guys like Kucherov and Stamkos and Point, so we don't have any room for you. And he was like, well, then screw you. I'm going 4 hours south where, it's a little bit better. It's a little bit warmer, and the Cuban sandwiches are better. So therefore, that's where I'm going.
Oh, man. I mean, you got to do what you got to do, right? But
of course.
But I don't know. I got a little bit of a glimpse of the game from I think it was last night between Tampa and Florida, and it didn't look all that great for Florida, but hey,
It did not. But hey, you know what? You have your good games and your bad games. But Tampa Bay is deep. That's what it comes down to. They are still extremely deep. They are the Stanley Cup champions. They're going to trounce you every so often with their speed and with their skill. And when you have a $10 million goalie for the Florida Panthers that, I don't know, we call him Four-Golski because usually he gives up about 4 goals a game.
Yep. Sounds
so,
man, if I had that's what she said sound bit.
Has she called you Four-Golski?
She gives it up. Gives it up easy.
Oh.
Yeah, no.
So would you say that he gives it up in the 5-hole or...
Oh man.
Well, I would say he
holes.
has about 5 different holes that he gives it up for.
Oh.
So,
I bet you that's gonna become a meme in less than 24 hours.
absolutely.
Oh,
and on top of that, he's expensive. So, not only does he give it up in 5 different holes, he's cost you $10 million.
Oh man.
Doesn't sound like
It's
very good
just
for the consumer
it's a
here.
bad trade. No. Luckily for him, he has an offense that is supporting him. Let me tell you that. Because for some reason, we're still 8-2-2, and this dude's save percentage and goals against average is 3 point something. Like that makes no sense to anybody whatsoever. But it comes down to that you have already a leading goal scorer of Carter Verhaeghe with 7 goals. Huberdeau's up there. Barkov is up there. Keith Yandel, if you heard about that story, talking about trading him and getting rid of his Iron Man streak. And then this dude said, hey, screw you guys. I'm playing. The whole team backed him and said, no, we want him playing. And he's already chipped in 3 power play goals this season. So good motivation, maybe. Good GM tactic. I think it was just, sprinkle in a little bit of fairy dust and piss off a few people and get your team going. But it's definitely worked out. I think there is a true battle for the Sunshine State this season. The Florida Panthers are for real, and we've known Tampa's been for real.
Oh, man.
We've seen it before, and but now they actually have somebody clawing at them. So we'll see what happens.
Oh, for sure. And it's definitely been already exciting. But with the season so far, what do you think is the biggest surprise that we've had?
Well, in the spirit of Not a Hockey Market podcast show, we are going to hyper-focus on those markets that people don't like to talk about because they think, hey, nobody knows about them. They're not really a true hockey market. Bullshit. There is hockey fans everywhere. And I'm going to go all the way to the desert, and I'm not going to where you lose a bunch of money. I'm going a little bit more conservative and to the Arizona Coyotes. They are a good surprise this year. They are resilient as hell. They're playing in a division with the 3 top teams in the league, with 3 of the top teams, with St. Louis, Vegas, and Colorado. Each one of these teams has a goal differential of plus 10 or more. So they are killing their opponents right now. And Arizona continues to hang around. They're hanging around. They're going to be that playoff team that surprises you because they are just scrappy as hell. Their speed is second to none. The first line that they have of their first line has combined for 35 points this season already. With Clayton Keller, Nick Schmaltz, and Connor Garland. And every single one of these guys is like 5'8", 5'9". So they're not exactly what you would call. Yeah, they're not exactly what you call some big boys. But for whatever reason, they continue to create offense. And they continue to just fly around and cause turnover after turnover. And have combined for 35 points. Garland leads that team with 14. And he's like 5'7". I mean, he's not exactly, the biggest dude.
Hey,
exactly. And even though they're just kind of on that 4th team in the division there, they are going to piss somebody off. If their goalie duo can get hot, look out for the Coyotes. So that's my biggest surprise right now in the spirit of Not a Hockey Market podcast.
Well, man, if we got to hit the good, I mean, we got to hit the bad too. What do you see as the biggest disappointment this season so far then?
Well, biggest disappointment for me, I mean, and I've talked about it before, and I'm not going to right now. I'm going to leave the Oilers alone because they finally got above 500.
It's beating a dead horse at that point.
It is. If it wasn't for the fact that they brought in Mike Smith at 37 years old and he comes in and his 2 games has a goals against average of 1. He's allowed 1 goal in 2 games. If not for him, I would say the Oilers season is dead in the water. The biggest disappointment for me, and I hate to say it to you, bud, it's Buffalo. Right now, it's definitely Buffalo. They go out, they sign Taylor Hall to these big numbers. Taylor Hall, Jack Eichel is going to be the next big duo since Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane. How many goals do you think these 2 boys have?
Well, I mean, you would expect them to have quite a few, but if you're talking combined, Jack Eichel and Taylor Hall. I'm gonna say I haven't looked at any numbers. I honestly don't know. I don't think Buffalo's played a ton of games. I think they only played like 12 games. So I'm gonna say in 12 games combined, they probably have like 8 goals.
3.
That's bad.
3. Man. And these are 2 prolific goal scorers. They've had 3. I mean, come on, man. That's bad. That's just bad.
Jimmy just chimed in and said, that's crap team perfection on ice.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what that is. That is crap team perfection on ice, Jimmy. The Buffalo Sabres are just a crap team right now. They get into a more competitive division, and I said, oh, that's going to hurt them. But they went out and signed Taylor Hall. They're supposed to be at least putting up some numbers, maybe staying competitive.
Mm-hmm.
But they are just right now, a dog treading water and just trying to stay afloat. If this continues, Jack Eichel wants out of Buffalo next season and will request a trade.
Oh, yeah.
And that is huge. I mean, that's like you thought Patrick Laine wanting out of Winnipeg and that switch, and then now he's going to fight with Torts and he's going to want out of Columbus too. That's even more drama.
I know. So that's something you've talked about on your last episode about Laine and the issue. And he got benched already in Columbus and fighting with Torts on that. That's got to end pretty quickly then. I mean, you think they're going to try to move on from him right away?
I don't think they're going to try to move on from him right away. And it's a question I wonder. What do you do when you have a young all-star like that can really be the face of your franchise? We talk about it in the NFL all the time. In the NFL, if you have a young quarterback that's going to be the face of your franchise, you go out and you get a coach that can possibly match that. And if you don't stick with the same coach that you've had because he's a pain in the ass or because he is your coach,
Right.
so there are times that you make that switch. I think Torts leaves before Line does, at least in Columbus. So that's a possibility. But then again, they love that system over there in Columbus. They love that, blue collar kind of hockey where everybody has to play two ways. Line does not play two ways, man. He is a one-way guy. He is the frat boy at a bar that is like, I am here to score. That's it.
He's here to snipe pucks and your woman.
Exactly. That's it. That's all he's here for. So we'll see what happens. That could be more drama down the line, but I mean, come on, man. You guys love the analogies with hockey, don't you?
I love it too
they're,
much.
They're just beautiful. It's just so easy. It's just like serving them up.
He's just there to wheel snipe Selly boys. It's all he's there for.
That's it.
Yeah, I need to get that what she said sound bit. Anyways. But no, that's
so that's my biggest disappointment there, boys. And if you want more of this in depth, come on to the show. Come check out Not a Hockey Market podcast presented by 90 Miles Media and Podcast City Network. So be sure, click on the links or whatever it is there below that you can find and subscribe.
Yes, go check it out for sure. Which also brings us to the fact that you can now join Podcast City Network. And it's really, really that easy because honestly, podcasting is really not that hard to do. A lot of people get really intimidated by it, but there's really not that much to it. And when you have a great team like Podcast City Network behind you that can offer an array of membership services, including logo design, branding, social media advertising, live podcast hosting, so much more. And then you add on the fact that you also gain access to a whole network of shows that can help with cross-promotion, guests, and your reach while becoming a part of that community that just is ever expanding and always about people helping people. I mean, what more could you ever want? And you know what? You want that cherry on top? No membership fee. So what are you waiting for? Go to podcastcity.net/join now and join the fastest growing independent podcast network around, Podcast City Network, which if we're talking about joining the network, that does now mean it is time for the good old give or go. And it's definitely going to be an interesting one this week because the first one right out the gate, I know I'm going to definitely be playing some sound bits for this one. Former Iowa strength coach Chris Doyle was hired by the Jaguars and then resigned 24 hours later. Give or go.
This was very interesting. The fact that Urban Meyer seems to have this history of guys that, have these kinds of issues. Yeah.
Thought it was fitting.
But yeah, in case you, very fitting. In case you're not really familiar with what's going on, is that this former head of strength and conditioning at Iowa, he was put on administrative leave while at the university following multiple African-American players alleging that he's treated them negatively and unfairly because of their race, berating and all this kind of stuff. It's very interesting because of the fact that that type of practice, whether it's race-related or not, berating is a very big part of the coaching culture in football. Take away sports in general. I remember in high school when we would play sports, it didn't matter if it was basketball or football, and I've heard hockey coaches do this. Like, you get berated all the time.
I had a straight up whistle hucked at me once.
Yeah, I mean, you get stuff thrown at you and you get berated and you get called like how fucking terrible you are all the time. Like, it's their way of motivation. So the fact that it was used in like racially charged, it's really kind of a head scratcher. But then again, you look at the source of who hired this guy, and it's Urban Meyer, who's really had a sketchy past to begin with. Which is why as soon as they hired Urban Meyer, I have officially stopped supporting the Jacksonville Jaguars until he is let go, until he's fired.
Oh man!
Oh boy, that's a big ball. That's ballsy right there, man.
And not just because he coached at that school in Columbus, but look at his track record at Florida.
Yep.
Look at the type of players and the type of coaching staff he had. Like, he's had issues follow him. He's been a sketchy guy. That would be like if John Calipari went to coach the Magic. I wouldn't support the Magic either because Calipari's had the same things.
No, and not to mention his past in Florida. All my boys here talk about it. I know you got some UF guys talk about it all the time. Hey, we have a bunch of great players, and I'm going to now be successful because of said great players. Thank you very much. And then they all leave, and then so do I. I'm not here to rebuild no program. I'm here to just, win.
Next thing you know, the next guy he's gonna hire is Zach Smith.
Oof. Oh man.
Too soon?
Maybe.
Too soon?
Oh man.
Maybe.
You never know, honestly, but this has been like so crappy. And what was crazy about this is that Chris Doyle was with Iowa for 20 years. 20 years, and this is just now coming out. And there was one story, and this is the one that stuck out with me more than anything, was a cornerback that's currently on the team. I think he's only a sophomore or a junior. Had said that he had an interaction where they were on their indoor practice field, which is artificial turf, and out of just sheer habit, he spit on the turf. Now, I know as a football player, I spit like no tomorrow on grass, turf, didn't matter where I was. I remember being in our hot as can be, old school 1970s basketball gym doing an indoor practice because there was lightning, and I spit on the floor. So, I mean, I'm sorry, coach. I didn't mean to. But either way, he ended up being like horrifically berated by Chris Doyle and thrown out. All they were doing was just body measurements, and they're just standing there waiting. Yet another player, he claims, was another white player, did the same thing not but a day or two later, and nothing was done. So, I mean, you can't have these kind of institutional issues at a university, and then now you're going to try and hire that in the NFL. I mean, Urban Meyer, I think I saw a graphic one time. They said of all of the 140 or 150 or whatever players he had at the University of Florida, over 40 or 50 of them were incarcerated. So, I mean, Tim Tebow can't counterbalance all of that. I'm sorry. So,
That's true. Here's the thing. I think Urban Meyer, and if Doyle were to continue doing what he's doing, here's the thing. Urban Meyer is going to learn very quickly. These are not 18 to 21-year-old boys that you're dealing with in your locker room. There are grown-ass men that will fucking fight you if you do shit to them. Like, they will fight you. These are grown-ass men. So that's why I don't think the Urban Meyer experiment is going to last very long, because he is a very iron-fisted dictator when it comes to being on his rosters in college. And I don't think it's going to pan out well. And I'm going to laugh my ass off when it blows up in his face.
There's only one thing I could see that could work out in his favor in this entire scenario, and that's if he's going in with the mindset that he can be more relaxed, because now you're not having to stick to the university guidelines, so all the dates of the semesters, to making sure that all the grades are on top. You don't have to worry about it. It's just football, baby. Just pay them the money and make them play football. So maybe that could help lend to it being an easier experience for him and why he had so many health issues in college. But if you pull off any garbage like that, I will guarantee every player in that locker room will come up and sucker punch you on the way out the door. So, I mean,
but hey, here's the thing. He's always got it in his back pocket that if he's, if things aren't going well, he can just pull I would say it's a Nick Saban, but it's not, because it's an Urban Meyer at this point. Oh man, my heart's acting up, man. I'm not feeling good. I need to, I need to retire, and I need to go be with my family, and then go get another job at a school that you really want to go coach at.
There you go.
My gosh. So
can you tell I get fired up about this guy? I mean,
a little bit. I can tell.
Just a little.
And you know what? What it comes down to is, if Trevor Lawrence comes in and balls, then all this shit goes away.
A lot of it does go away. But look at what happened with Tom Coughlin, Doug Marrone when they were in Jacksonville. They were winning, things were okay. But as soon as they started losing, guess what started coming out of the woodwork? Players hate playing for Coughlin. They hate playing for Marrone. There's a bunch of issues. Ngakoue wants out. Everybody wants out.
Yep.
It all comes to light eventually. So I'd be interested to see how it plays out.
Oh, absolutely. And we'll definitely see how it plays out no matter what. And if it ends up being a train wreck, man, it'll be just one of those slow moving, can't look away kind of things, man. And that's what I'm hoping for anyways.
The train wreck.
Train wreck, it means lots to talk about.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But our next give or go is sadly a more somber one, is Marty Schottenheimer, the great NFL head coach of 20 plus seasons, has passed away at 77 years of age. He had been battling Alzheimer's since 2014. It's a very, very sad day, and he was ahead of some very prolific offenses in his day and had coached for 21 seasons, including with the Browns, the Chiefs, the Redskins, and the Chargers, winning AP Coach of the Year with the Chargers in 2004. He's eighth all time in wins too. This guy was a winner. He just couldn't get done in the playoffs all that often, sadly. But hey, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, LaDainian Tomlinson said in his Hall of Fame speech that not everybody can win a championship, but if there was anybody that was most deserving of one, it would have been Marty Schottenheimer. You look at his coaching tree. We talk about guys, their coaching trees, and who coached under whom. Schottenheimer has coached or had under his tutelage Bruce Arians, Pete Carroll, Mike Tomlin, Bill Cowher, Tony Dungy, Mike McCarthy, and others. I mean, some of those names are very well-respected coaches, being Cowher, Tomlin, Dungy, Arians.
Man, Hall of Famers in there too.
A lot of those guys. So, yeah, he was, and he was 0-3 in in conference championship games, unfortunately. But it's one of those things. You really wish he could have had a chance to win one, but he had such a lasting impact both on and off the field. And it's a really, really sad day for the NFL and for his family. And, our thoughts and prayers go out to the Schottenheimer family and, of course, the NFL family as a whole and anyone that has been associated with Marty Schottenheimer.
Absolutely. So at this moment, we're going to go ahead and just give a moment of silence for Marty Schottenheimer, the great NFL coach. Yeah, definitely a sad day in the NFL, but life does go on, and obviously he, like you said, left such an impact. So it's something that we definitely will see down the line because a lot of guys are still going to attribute Marty Schottenheimer for helping them get to where they are. So definitely something a lot of people can hang their hat on with that. But let's go ahead and kick it up a notch and add a little controversy because we do that here best on Final Score. Dallas Mavericks had decided to stop playing the U.S. national anthem before games. Then the NBA kindly reminded them that it must be played not only by them, but all teams in the NBA. Give her a go.
This is so intriguing to me because of the fact that I have supported Mark Cuban in in some of his decisions that he's made because he's usually very player friendly. He tries to be very player conscious, but they didn't really give a reason why they stopped. Part of it was they didn't have fans attending games. It was the rumor. And then, it came out that they said they chose not to play. Well, Mark Cuban comes out and he goes, no, we didn't officially say that we weren't doing this. And this, like, it's complete bullshit. Like he flip-flops on stuff all the time. Like go back a couple of years to when players were talking about kneeling for the anthem. Cuban made in a little mini press conference said that players will be standing for the anthem on his team. And then a few weeks later from ESPN, he completely goes on the backside of that and says he's completely supportive of, players that decide to kneel and this and that. Like, I get it. You're trying to do the nice PR move, but stick to your fucking convictions, man. Like, pick one, pick something.
I think it comes down to that he said it maybe even in the heat of the moment. I mean, come on, we are talking about an owner that's jumped onto the court before.
That's true.
To yell at a referee. And so he's had plenty of I'm gonna do this and then went, shit, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
So at least he owns up to that. But he did definitely all of a sudden backtrack very quickly after he was like, yeah, we're not gonna play it anymore. Wait, no, yeah, we are.
Yeah, he said it, quote, did not fully represent them as in the community that Dallas is kind of represents. So that's part of the reason why they didn't want to play it. And the NBA was like, you have to play this. It's part of the anthem. They're like, no, it still hangs high and it still hangs up there. We didn't have any fans. Like, no, we're going to play it. Like, dude, just pick something, man. Like, come on. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter what side of this argument you're on. Just fucking pick one. You're worse than a politician right now, bro.
Gotta give it up to Craig there, man. You getting fired up today, man.
I've been getting fired up lately. It's been a lot. I've been just having fun out here.
Well, that does bring us to our last give or go. One of our last give or goes. Number 3, Michigan has played for the first time in 23 days versus Wisconsin, thanks to good old COVID. Give or go.
Well, number 3, Michigan plays today at 1:30 at Wisconsin. Michigan's 13-1 on the season. Wisconsin's number 21 at 15-6. Wisconsin is favored, but Michigan did shellac them. They were up by 40 the last time these two played. But the fact that there's been such a long layoff, the Big Ten has been getting hammered pretty hard with COVID postponements, cancellations. But the fact that Michigan really shut down for a couple weeks, yeah, this is the first time, and I think I wrote down 23 days that they're actually going to be playing. But this is big. Like the fact that they're actually going to be going back to play. Today is we're a month away from Selection Sunday for college basketball. So there's a lot of stuff happening here. This is a huge game for Michigan and for just in general for the Big Ten, because they're still considering about what to do about the conference championships. They haven't just made a decision yet. All we know is that the NCAA tournament is going to be played in a bubble format in Indianapolis this year. So, but we're not sure about a lot of stuff, but it's nice. It's nice that we actually get some college basketball again, the Big Ten. I'm happy to see Michigan finally back on the court, and hopefully they can manage this as much as they can. Michigan's always been very sensitive and forthcoming about halting operations and making sure people are safe. They were one of the colleges that didn't want to play college football this year because of COVID, didn't feel it was safe, but not really surprised, but I'm glad to see that they are getting back on the court.
Definitely good to see them back on the court. Definitely good to see some college basketball going on. That is a tough sell. I mean, in terms of a sport dealing with COVID. And it really has to do with the fact that you are indoors and you can't sequester as well as they were able to for the NBA, because you're talking about college, you're talking about the influx of the universities and student interaction and all that kind of stuff. So it makes it even more difficult. But you know what? Like the NHL, they're just trying to find a way to push through and have a season and deal with what comes when it comes. I prefer on the air of caution more than on, the other side. Play it extra safe if you need to and just figure it out, because you know what, man? We've needed sports this year more than ever with everything going on. So I'm glad they're able to push through on it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Even though I may have my feelings about Michigan, I think it is good they are finally playing and doing something and not just sitting at home eating bonbons and being lazy. So good job being able to get up and go play some basketball.
Even though you have some feelings about Michigan, you got to take that dig. Like, did you throw up a little bit in your mouth? Like every time. Sorry.
Oh man,
Michigan.
But you know what? When we go to this last one, though, I think we're going to be able to blow it out of the water. Head coach versus star player. Lane tells coach to go F himself and then gets benched. Give or go.
So I had to throw this in there. I know we touched on it briefly, and I had to bring it in because when I found out not too long ago that, hey, he wasn't benched because of his play. He was benched because he told his assistant coach to go fuck himself, like just flat out on the bench. There's even recording of it because there's no fans in the stands, so you hear some dude on the bench just say it loud and clear, and you're like, was that Line? Yeah, that was Line. So is Torts really a bad guy for benching him after that kind of just in front of the players, not in the locker room, during a game, just flat out, disrespect? I don't know, man. Like that's one of those situations where you go, all right, dude, you're a kid. You just got into this system. I don't want to bench you because you know what? You're a star player. I like you. Torts is definitely a coach that if he doesn't like you, he's gonna tell you he doesn't like you. So I think maybe this was a good move for Torts to say, hey, you're benched. You don't talk to one of our coaches like that, especially on the ice or on the bench during a game. So that's why you've gotten benched. But I don't know. When it comes down to head coach, all-star player, who knows?
Oh yeah, for sure. And when you see those kind of interactions happening, you never know. Look at Craig yelling at things.
You might have to tell that dog, hey, don't make me bench you. I'm gonna bench you.
I know. What
bench
the hell?
Dog. You're benched. Oh man, that has been the good old give or go. Definitely make sure to check out more of our content and more controversial stuff because we like touching on that crazy stuff all the time on our social media at PCN Final Score. But you can also find us on Podchaser. Craig, what more can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. Well, Podchaser is your daily source for podcast discovery. Apple Podcast is no longer the only credible place to rate and review podcasts. You can follow creators, browse every podcast ever, and you can rate and review individual episodes. Final Score is also on Podchaser. You can find us on podchaser.com. Search keyword Final Score, and you can give us a follow, a rating, and a review.
Yes, definitely make sure to go on there and check out all the great stuff that we have there and leave us that rating because so far I think we have a 5-star rating across all platforms. So we thank you guys so much for leaving us ratings and reviews, but please do more because we just like to hear what you guys, think of the show because we try to make it good. So check it out. But that does bring us to the week ahead. And today we do have the running of the Daytona 500, which is literally not even 30 minutes away from us. I think I could get there maybe in about 35 minutes. But it's definitely expected to be one hell of a race if it even happens. There's been a lot of inclement weather in the area overnight and today. So we'll definitely see if we see the running. Alex Bowman and William Byron leading off for Hendrick Motorsports on the front row, 1 and 2. So it's definitely going to be interesting if it gets underway. And I can't let a Daytona 500 go by without me giving some kind of prediction. And I'm going to say Alex Bowman's going to win from the pole in the number 48 Hendrick Motorsports car. Hey, you're replacing Jimmy Johnson. You got to make sure you do that 48 some justice, and I think he's going to take it.
Absolutely. You got to give him some justice. But at race time, it's going to be about 74 degrees. It says about 50% chance of rain, but we've had, like he said, a lot of rain early. Hopefully that will kind of hold off. That might, the track then, it might be a little slick. Some of the tracks this weekend in Daytona and the nearby areas have been very slick. Lots of tough conditions there. But just kind of give some top odds here. So back-to-back reigning champion Denny Hamlin is a 17-2 favorite, but he's starting in the 25th position. So he's still the favorite going into this race, even though he's starting so far back in the field. Chase Elliott's a 10-1 odds. He's starting 12th, and he's the defending NASCAR champ from last year. Joey Logano's 11-1, starting in the 9th position. Kyle Larson and Ryan Blaney are also 11-1, and they are starting 13th and 14th, respectively. And rounding out the top 6, Brad Keselowski is 12-1, starting in 24th position. Mm-hmm. So if I have to pick somebody, Alex Bowman starting from the 1, it's interesting. I don't know much about either of those two, but I do know a few about the top 6. And I'm going with Joey Logano, who's in the 9th position at 11-1. So if I were to put my money down on a race today, I'd put my money on Joey Logano, 11-1 odds, and starting in the top 10.
Yeah, I'm leaning on history.
Hands down.
Yeah, I'm leaning on history right
now.
You
are.
You're going very deep on history, pole position and winning it. I don't know about that, man, but if I'm doing anything with racing, I'm putting money down. That's what it comes down to.
Hey, all right.
I'm placing a bet, and I like the Joey Logano bet starting at 9th position with the 11-1 odds because that's a nice little payday. Thank you very much.
For sure. But just to say, a driver has won from the pole position 7 times in the Daytona 500. But when you find out that there's been like 60 or 70 of these, it doesn't really bode well. But either way, we'll see what happens.
The odds still aren't great. It's called stats.
Hey, I like to make bold predictions, Cotton. Okay.
Right.
Oh man, but still, we do have a lot of other things that are going to be happening this week, including a new episode of Not a Hockey Market podcast. What more can you tell us about that?
Definitely check out Not a Hockey Market podcast weekly. We will have a weekly show going on where you can come on the show, talk hockey with us. We're going to be talking about the wrap up of the Sunshine State battle this week, as Monday, the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning go at it again for the third time. We will be talking about the Oilers actually going above 500, so that's been interesting, as well as the absolute dominance of the Boston Bruins, which is just
such a hot start. They're
such a hot start. And on top of that, we'll be talking about Patrice Bergeron being the next Tom Brady, where everyone says, when is this guy going to be old? When is this guy going to actually start to age? Right?
Yeah, I mean,
when he's 37 and he is still playing the best two-way hockey that I've ever seen.
I'm a man. So, I'm 40.
Exactly.
He's almost there.
He's almost there. So that's what we're going to be talking about on Not a Hockey Market podcast. So be sure to check that out. Follow me on 90 Miles Media, Couch Dads Pod, and all the other different platforms you can find me on.
And subscribe on YouTube. Look for
yes.
that.
Yes, always subscribe on the YouTube. So you can also catch the Rip Griffin Show and Double Dime, two of our other PCN sports podcasts as part of Podcast City Network. Check the Rip Griffin Show weekly of the ripgriffinshow.com. Just hit me and check out all the great stuff that they have. They just recently did one with an Orioles super fan, as they do their team by team breakdown and interviews with different personnel, players, and super fans. Try and bring you the most rounded look to this upcoming season. So definitely make sure to check them out. And Double Dime is supposed to be getting back live starting this next Saturday. So definitely make sure to check them out for the latest in sports investing. All you have to do is look up Fixed Edge Investing, and you'll be able to find Double Dime. And also find them at podcastcity.net/Double Dime. Ugh, man, so much to say.
Yeah, next week we got episode 94, right? 94, is it 95?
94. We're up to 94 now.
94 next Sunday, 10 a.m. here on Facebook Live. Looking forward to having Rip Griffin Show, those guys on the show very soon, as well as we're getting out of football season. Now we're getting into talk some college basketball, talk some hockey, talk some baseball. Spring training's right around the corner. So looking forward to have more guests in the coming weeks. We'll make those announcements on social media. So of course, go ahead and follow us on Facebook and give us a like. Give us a like there, Twitter, Instagram. All the information will be released on social media.
Absolutely. That does sadly bring us to the end of our episode. Thank you all so much for watching and sticking with us. Definitely make sure to check us out on social media at PCN Final Score, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram. Give us a like, give us a follow, and give us a subscribe. It helps us be able to know that you guys actually like us. So definitely please go do that, and then share it with all your friends and invite your friends so they can enjoy and all the great sports news that Final Score has to offer, including all of our bomb-ass memes, because we got a ton of them. So definitely make sure to check us out. But until next week, I'm Chris, and that's Craig and JDM, and you guys have just watched Final Score. Y'all have a great night.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Cheers.